This is Saint Ilyas signing in, and tonight we open the pages of Orwell's 1984 because it was never just a story, it was a warning, a blueprint for the prison you never realised was being built around you. Because Orwell's 1984 isn't just a novel, it's a chillingly accurate map of psychological control. The methods of power he warned us about aren't locked in the past. They echo through our world right now, shaping your thoughts in ways you rarely stop to notice. The most terrifying prison, after all, isn't one made of steel bars. It's the one you don't even know you're trapped inside. And the game is already being played. The only way to win is to realise you're just a pawn. Tonight, we open Orwell's map and see how much of it has already come true. The architecture of control, the modern panopticon. In 1984, the party is always watching. Its eyes are everywhere, through telescreens that monitor every word, every twitch, every hint of dissent. This created what's known as a Panopticon Effect. The idea is as simple as it is cruel. If you believe you could be watched at any moment, you start policing yourself. The fear of being caught turns every person into their own jailer. It creates a state of constant low-grade anxiety that makes conformity the path of least resistance. You don't need a guard in every cell if the prisoners guard themselves. So, how does that look today? It's easy to think, I've got nothing to hide, but that misses the point entirely. The goal of this kind of surveillance isn't just about catching criminals, it's about shaping a population. Every scroll, every click, every time you carry your phone into a new room, you're feeding a vast machine. This digital panopticon, a glowing altar where we sacrifice privacy for convenience, doesn't just watch, it learns, it predicts, and it nudges your behaviour. The ads you see, the news that fills your feed, the friends you're recommended, it's all part of a loop designed to keep you predictable, engaged, and maybe just a little bit more of a consumer. But the psychological toll is deeper. It breeds self-censorship. Think about the last time you hesitated before posting something, or reworded a search to sound less controversial. That pause, that's the modern telescreen at work. It's that quiet voice asking, how will this look? Who might see this? This isn't about avoiding a direct threat. It's about managing your digital self in a world that records everything. It's a quiet pressure to conform, to sand down your rough edges, to present a version of yourself that's agreeable and safe. Over time, this erodes our sense of real autonomy, leaving us feeling watched and a little more alone. We're building our own prisons, one post, one click, one hesitant thought at a time. The war on reality, Newspeak and truth manipulation. One of Orwell's most brilliant inventions was Newspeak. The purpose of Newspeak wasn't just to introduce new words, but to make certain thoughts literally unthinkable. By getting rid of a word like freedom, the party could eventually erase the very concept from people's minds. Language wasn't for expression, it was a weapon to shrink the very scope of human consciousness. This was the job of the Ministry of Truth, an organisation built entirely on lies. It constantly rewrote history, changing articles and records to fit whatever the party needed people to believe that day. The ultimate goal was to demolish the idea of objective truth, making the party the only source of reality. If the party says 2 + 2 = 5, then it is. Now, what if our reality is being rewritten in real time? Today's Ministry of Truth isn't a single building, it's a chaotic, decentralized network of information. We're all facing an overwhelming storm of fake news, disinformation, and so-called alternative facts. The real danger isn't one single lie, but the sheer, crushing volume of conflicting information. Our social media feeds have become personalized reality tunnels. Algorithms are built to show us exactly what we want to see, confirming our biases and shielding us from different views. Two people can look at their phones at the same time and see two completely different worlds, each tailored to reinforce what they already believe. This creates echo chambers where shared facts evaporate and finding common ground feels impossible. The psychological effect here is profound. The strategy isn't always to convince you of a specific lie, but to exhaust your critical thinking. When you're bombarded with endless contradictions and conspiracies, the natural human response is to just check out. You start to feel like the truth is unknowable, or maybe that nothing is really true at all. That state of cynical exhaustion is the perfect environment for control, because when we don't have the energy to search for the truth, we become incredibly easy to lead. We'll grab onto the simplest, most emotionally satisfying story we're offered, just to feel some certainty in the chaos. We'll grab onto the simplest, most emotionally satisfying story we're offered, just to feel some certainty in the chaos. When truth dissolves, reality itself becomes an illusion, a spell cast not by sorcerers, but by the algorithms you beg to follow you. The ultimate mind game, Doublethink. This brings us to Orwell's final lock on the psychological prison, Doublethink. He defined it as the power to hold two completely contradictory beliefs in your head at the same time and accept both. It's the engine behind the party's greatest hits. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Doublethink is basically the mind bending itself into a pretzel to avoid the pain of contradiction. To survive in 1984, you had to know the party was lying, while at the same time genuinely believing the lie. This act of mental gymnastics short-circuits your ability to reason. It makes you dependent on the party to tell you what to believe, even when it defies what you can see with your own eyes. Ever wonder how a public figure can say one thing on Monday and the exact opposite on Friday, while their supporters passionately defend both? That's doublethink in action. We see it when a company runs a huge green campaign while its business model is wrecking the environment. We see it when news outlets cry foul about misinformation while pushing their own heavily slanted narratives. This isn't just simple hypocrisy, it's a psychological survival skill in a world drowning in contradiction. To belong to our tribe, whether it's political, social, or cultural, we're often asked to swallow its contradictions whole. We consciously forget facts, ignore inconsistencies, and defend the indefensible, all to keep our sense of belonging. This internal battle is exhausting, so the mind resolves it with an incredible feat of self-deception. It accepts both truths. It masters doublethink. It's the final stage of psychological control, where you not only accept your chains, but you learn to love them. Orwell's warning wasn't about a government kicking down your door. It was about something far more subtle: the voluntary surrender of our own minds. The dark psychology he wrote about thrives in the shadows of our modern lives, often disguised as convenience, connection, or entertainment. The telescreen is in your pocket, and you paid for it. The Ministry of Truth is your curated newsfeed, and you trained the algorithm to tell you what you want to hear. And doublethink is the silent deal we make to ignore the uncomfortable truths of our time in exchange for comfort and a sense of belonging. The famous image from the book is a boot stamping on a human face, forever. But sometimes control doesn't look like a boot. Sometimes it looks like a thumb endlessly swiping on a glass screen. So, the final questions are for you. What parts of yourself have you silenced to fit in? In what ways has your desire for convenience made you complicit in your own surveillance? And when you see that 2 + 2 = 4, do you still have the courage to say it, even if everyone around you is screaming that it equals 5? The antidote isn't a revolution in the streets, it's a revolution in your own mind. It starts with asking questions, seeking out different views, and choosing the uncomfortable truth over the comfortable lie. Orwell gave us the map to the prison, it's up to us to see the bars. Stay awake. I am Saint Ilyas. If you've seen the chains, if you've felt the bars, then subscribe, because only here do we reveal the truths the light was never meant to show.